Welcome to the Evolving Women podcast, where growth, healing, and empowerment aren't just ideas, they're a way of being. I'm Teresa Lysam, and in each episode, I'm joined by an extraordinary woman, one who is boldly shining her light in the world, one who is bringing her real life experience to each and every episode. And you'll be meeting my guest co host for today here shortly. She brings her heart centered wisdom and her powerful story to remind us all that we are not alone on this journey. This space is your permission to evolve, to expand, and to fully embody your most radiant, authentic self. So let's evolve together. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Evolving Women. I'm Teresa Lysam, and my delightful guest co host today is Dr. Laleh Talabian. Hi,
Hi,
Laleh. How are you? We're so glad
I'm
you're
great.
here. Thank you
Thank you
so
for
much.
having me.
Oh, thank you for taking the time to come. So I'm so excited to just dive into this conversation. I want everyone to know that you've had a very robust background and career prior to what you're doing right now. A research scientist, some human genetics were thrown in there. So you were really involved in that side of the medical model, we'll just say. And then you did a pivot so that now you're more preventative. You're helping people really dive in and see what's happening under the surface and then providing them with lots of information so they can maybe make some different choices. So please share with us what happened there. What's your story that moved you and motivated you to make that change?
Well, if you allow me, I'll go back to where it actually all started. So
Please.
I lost my dad to cancer on my 15th birthday, and he was only 49. So at that point, I decided I wanted to become a scientist and I wanted to cure cancer.
Mm,
So I lived in Iran during the Iran-Iraq War, if you
mm,
remember, and that was the horrific time for any woman to be able
I
to do
bet.
anything with higher education.
I bet.
And so I had to escape the country and as a
Mm,
political refugee, I ended up in Belgium. And there I found that it was very, very difficult to get a higher education with three different languages. So 4 years later, I ended up in the United States. So fast forward two continents and two countries later,
wow.
I ended up in the United States and I got to college. I got my bachelor's in genetics and food biochemistry, and I got my PhD in cancer biology and cancer immunology. Now you think mission accomplished. I went into clinical trials for many years and I loved what I did. But one thing that constantly weighed heavy on my heart was that image of my dad that I had during his final days on a deathbed, literally weighing almost 100 pounds.
Mm,
And he literally deteriorated under the harsh effects of chemotherapy.
mm,
And this was a common theme I constantly saw during clinical trials. And I realized a painful fact that most cancer patients die not of their cancer, but die of organ failure due to toxic therapy.
mm.
And many times they get therapy related cancer. So I just wish that I had a different image of my dad on his last days. And I wish that other people had other choices. So I just couldn't be a drug dealer, if you will. That's how it felt
Wow.
like.
Yep. Yep.
And I couldn't live with myself. I was at odds with that world. And so I started sort of pursuing funding and research opportunities where I was in academic research for alternative things such as lifestyle, such as nutrition, such as toxic chemicals, stress, and all of the things that affect our health and definitely contribute to cancer and other diseases. And, I hit the wall constantly, um, just as a woman in a male dominant profession as a scientist. You already are sort of uh, limited in so many ways, and
Mhm.
also to have this provocative out there idea that, hey, guess what, maybe we could prevent people from getting cancer, or maybe we could help them change their lifestyle and get healthy.
Right.
things like that. And I really hit the wall, and a lot of times, actually, really active resistance. I offered out of my own time workshops for cancer patients. I did cooking classes, you name it. And
Mm,
I kept hitting the wall with literally the director of the cancer center where I worked was, your job is not this, your job is to fill the clinical trials on hospital beds. And that just really, really started weighing on me and
mm,
stressing me out, because that's not why I went into it.
right.
So it was really scary time, and I decided to do this part time while I was holding a full time job. So I sort of used my background in genetics and food biochemistry and all that scientific brain. I started developing a really unique mechanism, a system for myself to help people using their genetic markers, their disease markers, to
Mm,
actually target their disease using precise food prescriptions that is really as unique as every individual. And I did this part time for some time. And as soon as I started this work, literally within weeks of really focusing on cancer on the outside, on my sort of weekends and evenings, I was like literally um, bombarded, if you will, with people asking about other chronic conditions. And can you help me with this? Can you help me with
I
that?
bet.
And I'm like, well, I solve problems and I'm a scientist, and there's markers for all other diseases as well. So yes, why not? So I started sort of expanding my sort of view of all of that, and it worked really well. And it was the most scary thing to think about, quitting my job,
Oh, I bet.
because I had been in school, in undergrad. I had been in graduate school. I did a postdoc and I did clinical research, and I was an academician. I wasn't. That's all I knew, and
Mhm,
I couldn't imagine, like, how do I do anything else? I'm a scientist. So it was really, really tough. For many years, I really battled with this, and it's that job security that you feel like I'm
mhm,
not going to have, and
yeah.
so and of course, you also hear anybody would, but even as a woman more so, you have no business being an entrepreneur. Well, I felt I didn't. I was a scientist. I wasn't a
Mhm,
businesswoman. I had
mhm,
no idea about running a business, and so it was that constantly also doubt, behind everything else, that you're like, okay, so should I really be doing this? I mean, do I
yeah.
have a business being there? Like all
Yep.
of that. And, it came to a point where I hit a place where I there was no room for me to grow. And the basically the head leader of the institution that I was working for, he was my boss. So it would be literally taking his job, which is not something I wanted, or stay where I was. And there was no room to grow, and also deal with resistance of things I wanted to do. So the time came that I just got the courage and sort of flew free, and
Mm,
it's the best decision I've ever made. Initially, I did not make nearly as much money as I did at the time, but I I can live with that, because I'm at peace with what I do every day, and I feel
mm,
great about it. And I never look back. And
mm.
yeah, the best
Wow.
decision I've ever made. There were some times where I would doubt myself, that what was I doing? What was I thinking?
Mhm,
But every opportunity or every hardship in my mind happens for a reason, and it's
mhm.
always a good reason, even if at the time it doesn't feel like it, but it always is. So
Mm,
here I
thank you. Thank you
am.
so much. So many celebrations in there. I just want to acknowledge, that you made a decision early in your life. You went for it. You were in a restrictive environment, we shall say, or a restrictive culture. You had to get out of there and
Yeah,
physically move, a political refugee. I'm like, whoo, that's scary in and of itself. And then, like you said, two continents or two countries later, you land here like, wow, that is a lot. And then you went ahead and continued to go towards your goal. I mean, that is huge. That is, I mean,
thank you.
even if somebody just did a little piece of that, That would be enough for one lifetime. And you just kept on going and going and got to your goal of being a cancer researcher. And I just and like you said, you had to fit in with a male dominated culture again over in your career. It's like, oh my gosh, I applaud you so much and honor you for all of
Thank you.
those.
Thank you.
And there were so many things in there that we could talk about. It's really sad to me, number one, that you had a provocative idea that should have been celebrated and rejoiced over, but yet you referred to it as a sad, like a sad moment, like other people were dismissing it. And
Mhm.
and that's like, that shouldn't be that way. That's speaking volumes about what's happening in that world. And then that you were told that your job was to fill hospital beds. Like that is, oh my gosh, that is just mind blowing. And then that you had the courage to step out of that to create your own solutions, your own, what you had to give to the world. You wanted to go do it no matter what. So, oh my gosh, just so much inspiration there in what you shared with us. So, thank you so much. Um, and then you were referencing how scary it was for you to quit your job. I mean, that's for anybody. Anytime you make a big change like that, which again, you had already done multiple huge changes prior to that, but yet to be able to look at giving up what you were really good at and where you were really comfortable and you had job security to step out of that and to do your own thing. I mean, that's another huge one. Oh my gosh, you are just one risk taker after another, girlfriend. Wow,
Thank
such an
you.
inspiration to us all for sure.
Well, something I should say though is we all do get sort of in our comfort zone
Yes,
in what we know. And sometimes looking outside of that comfort zone is really scary.
yes.
Uh, for me, the case was, well, I went to school for so many years and did so much
Hmm.
training to become a scientist. Well, first, do I know something else? And the second thing was the fear of, criticism. Like,
Yes.
wait a minute, you can, and I did. I mean, the closest people to me, including my own sister, said, you got to go work for Genentech or Merck or
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm like, I
Yep.
don't want to. But are you dumb? You got all this degree.
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
why would you not? And I'm like, that's not what I want to do. But the fear, and of course, I know people spoke it in my face, and many, many, many,
Bet.
many
I
people,
bet.
including my own colleagues, probably thought, are you out of your mind? Like finally you
Hmm.
got to become a scientist, you get your to clinical trial. And I was in clinical trials. So I made a really huge, fast leap from basic research to clinical trial. Most people don't get to do that. I was really fortunate. It
Mm.
just sort of landed a person who I really admire even to this day. He was willing to give me that opportunity, and he was the best boss I've ever had. And that's not the reason I left, by the way. I left from that into because funding ended and I went to another higher level and all of that, long story short. But something I want all listeners or viewers of this to really embrace is that no matter what background you come from and you feel like that's your comfort zone, think about what all of that knowledge or skill or education, whatever you have, can actually be repurposed,
Mm.
because that is the biggest power you have. It just get step outside of that for a minute and think about how can this skill or this knowledge or this education, whatever you have, um, help you do what you absolutely love, and without limitations, without having to have regrets, without having to report to anybody, if you will.
Hmm.
And that was the biggest, thing for me to realize that first, I can use the things I've learned and those skills in a way that I want, and just really working with that. it's not just black and white, like, okay, I'm a scientist, I have to be in the lab, I have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're told, right? That's what we're trained. You're trained to do, go do that. But think about, how
Mm-hmm.
can I use this skill, whatever your skill is and your talent is, to repurpose it to really do what you love every day. Because what you love, when you love what you do every day, you don't work at all. And this is
Yeah.
my life today.
Yeah.
And I'm so blessed to say that today, but it wasn't like that when I was there. So
Mm-hmm.
is that, think about that and have the courage to stand out. Why blend in when you can stand out?
Yes.
Go
Yeah.
out against the current, yes, do what seems wild to everyone. So what?
Oh,
If you can do that, do it.
great advice. Great advice. Because I think we are taught to stay in our lane, in our comfort zone. Don't try to rock the boat. It's like you said, you have all these people giving you their own opinion because that's what they learned and that's how their life played out. And they were afraid to take those risks. So when somebody like you comes along and is eager and ready to step out of that comfort zone, it's like threatening to everybody else. Like, whoa, if you do that, then that's going to make me look, feel bad about myself because I chose not to take that risk. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's not to diminish anybody who decides not to, but it's sad that we're not more encouraging of that. And it's just, I think it's just our training. It's just how we were brought up. And so for anybody to break out of that is a huge deal, I think. And that's why I feel you're so inspiring because you're leading by example and you had that fear, you had that self-doubt, and you still went with it
Hmm.
because we all
Yep.
have that. I mean, I
Yep.
have that like on a daily basis.
Of course, that's something, you always have those questions in your mind
Hmm.
about everything you do. But the more, I think, the more you love what you do, the more confident you become.
Hmm.
Because
Yep.
it
Love that.
doesn't take effort. When you love what you do, it doesn't take that amount of effort. And you become confident in that. And guess what? When you love what you do, you are going to give so much more in
Mm,
value to
good
people that
point.
you serve.
Good
So
point.
that boosts your confidence alone. And that's just, it's just instant gratification, if you will. And,
Mm,
and you just keep building momentum on that. And even if you have your doubts here and there,
yep.
just sit back and build on that momentum you have. Because again, if you find something you have true passion for and you love, doesn't matter because you will get results.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
key is
Imagine.
to really anchor
um,
that, like really work on that.
Imagine if everybody was doing what they loved in the whole world. Like our stress level would like be nil or
Yeah,
nothing, you
yeah,
know?
exactly. Teresa, I always tell the story, if I may, if we have.
Please.
So in the final months, when I was at the institution I was, and I told you, like literally, I was in a Dartmouth Health Policy for Clinical Practice, and it was Dartmouth Institute for Health Policy and Clinical Practice. And I was in charge of a project, data management of that. It's like a whole regional project. And we had planned a trip with my partner Eric and his family to Galapagos. Imagine a
Mhm.
biologist, a geneticist, a trip to Galapagos Island, right? I mean, it's like the dream vacation. So we had planned that. Everyone was all set. My bags were packed, all of that. And I was having a last meeting, and this was a 10-day trip. It wasn't like anything long, but I had a project deadline.
Mhm.
And so I was having this stress that, oh my gosh, like can I hand this over 10 days that I'm not here? So are we gonna,
Mhm.
so all of that stress of a corporate world, and I was under so much pressure. It was 8 o'clock at night when we finished our meeting. And I just had this heavy feeling on my chest, like literally burning
Mm.
heavy feeling on my chest and my stomach. I was so stressed out. And I drove home. I had a half-hour commute to come home. And throughout this whole time I was driving home, oh my gosh, I don't know if I should be going on this vacation. Oh my gosh,
Oh,
it was just that so much stress on my was on me that I got home without saying a word. Got into my house, and it's like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. We're trying to fly out the next day, and Eric told me, "What's going on?" And I just, whatever expression I had on my face, and I can't hide anything. I can't lie if my life depended on it. And he's like, "You're not going,
Oh.
and you can't go like this." And you know what? The saddest thing was I was relieved. Oh,
Mm.
yes, I can stay and do this because I was so stressed out about my job that I gave up that vacation. I did not go.
Oh
And
man.
now check this out. That night, I emailed my boss, who was, and at the time there were like two of them, or one person, one project was a woman. I emailed. This was sad because it was a woman, and I expected differently from a woman. And I
Mm-hmm.
emailed her and I said, "I'll be there tomorrow for this meeting that I was not supposed to be at because
Mm-hmm.
I canceled my trip." The only response I got from her was, "See you."
Oh man. Wow.
Not even, "Oh my gosh, did you cancel your trip?
Wow.
Seriously?" Like,
Ooh.
that was it.
Wow.
And that's the time when I had a 10 days alone to sit there and reflect on. I just missed this vacation of lifetime with my
Mm-hmm.
partner's family for this job, and all I got
Yeah.
was see you.
Yeah.
And there was no compassion. There was no, and I'm like, I'm
Mm.
replaceable. I'm absolutely, and the stress, that thing to me was, I don't want to live my life like this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it was most of the
Wow.
time. And today I can say, people oftentimes say about stress and things like that. I'm like, I can truly, honestly say, I have absolutely zero stress in my life. Absolutely
Wow.
zero stress in my life. The only things that stress me, and it's not really stress, it is, I could call it concern,
Mm-hmm.
is when I have, say, sick clients. And that's something that might sometimes keep me up at night when I'm thinking
Mm-hmm.
about the person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really stress on me, but it's worry, it's concern, like you
Mm-hmm.
would for a loved one, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And, but it isn't, I'm busy, but I'm not stressed.
Mm-hmm.
And I could say that, knowing how, all those years, it wasn't at all like this,
Wow.
and, I could say, and everyone's like, I'm like, no, I absolutely have like no stress.
That is
Absolutely
huge.
not.
That is
Yeah.
huge, man. Wow. Yeah. You're probably in the 0.1% of people who can say that.
Sadly, you are right, but it doesn't have to be that
It
way.
doesn't have to be that
It
way.
doesn't.
It
Yeah, and
doesn't have to be
it's
that
not rocket science.
way. Oh, wow. You're just so inspiring. So you stepped out of that. You created your own role, your own company, your own business. Please share with us about that. How do you help people now?
So I did, as I explained before, I started using sort of my scientific mind into shifting the way I help people, and
Yep.
that is very unique. And I will say I'm the only person who does this because I've created it, and
Hmm.
I haven't shared it anymore. But just kidding. So what I do now is I love working with people with cancer, or my second favorite group of people are people with Parkinson's and other chronic conditions as well. When people are put in that black box of unsolved mysteries,
Mm,
and that is when you encounter people who have so many health issues, so many medications, and so many side effects, and they really are living a painful life of their symptoms. And
yeah.
they're miserable, and nobody
Mhm.
can help them. And all there is, well, here's another medication. Let's
Yes.
try this.
Yes. Exactly.
And so I love working with those people, and people who are really motivated to take control of their health. And
Mm,
regardless of the path they choose, whether they want to go conventional medicine therapy, and then they also want to incorporate sort of natural ways of healing, that's fine too. Or anyway, anywhere they are in their journey, I am here to support them.
mm,
And my biggest thing is you must um, be selfish to be selfless. And I
Mm,
say that to every
mm,
woman who's listening to this. If you, in any profession you are, if you have people you care about, which I'm sure you do, and people you love, in order to be there for them, you have to be selfish first. And I tell that to my clients because no matter what, if you're going to be here tomorrow to love the people you love and do whatever you want to do,
mm-hmm.
you have to put yourself
Yes.
first when it comes to your health. If you're not healthy, if you're not here, nobody cares. So it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter who you love tomorrow,
Right,
right?
right.
So that's the main thing. And you have to be willing to prioritize your health. You
Mm-hmm.
must be willing to prioritize
Yes.
your health. And that is my ask. And you have to be willing to prioritize your health. And so I work one-on-one with people primarily, very private. I'm the only person they see. It is very hands-on. It's unique to each individual. And I always have a very close relationship with every single client. And
Mm,
depending on the personality, some people are more, distant and some people are not. But literally, there are clients who text me on a daily basis.
mm,
And there are clients from 8, 9 years ago who are no longer really actively my clients. But
mm-hmm.
if they are, one particular person is she had brain cancer and she was told she didn't have like more than 90 or a year and a half to live.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously, knock on wood, it's 8 years later, she's doing
Wow.
great. And every time that some new treatment or some trial comes around and they recommend that to her, they suggest it, she texts me, can you tell me if this is right? And that
Mm,
just, it just touches my heart in a way
mm.
I can't describe, because she trusts me more than anybody else. And
Oh, I
that's not
bet.
the only person. And other people always ask the question, like they're going to see their oncologist and they're nervous and they're anxious because of, experiences they've had, whatever. And they call me before they go there. One, to calm them down, and two,
Mm-hmm.
to help them ask the right questions they want to ask, that they have the right to ask.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, it's a big relationship thing for me. And like I said, it's what I love to do. So seeing people being able to transform their lives, change their lives, take control of their health, and live their lives happy and healthy is the biggest gift for me. So,
I bet. And for them. It sounds like you're a guide, a personal guide on their health journey, and you're not directing them into any one direction. It sounds like you're giving them, oh, here's a whole bunch of things to pick from. What would you like to go with? Instead of, oh, it's being suggested that you follow this course, this path. And,
mhm,
that's what typically happens, I think,
right.
from my understanding. And that's the path that you're directed down.
Yeah.
It might not be the best path, but that's the person you're connected with. That's the one that they're comfortable with. So that's the one they move
Yeah.
everybody down. Where it sounds like you have such a high touch, high personalized relationship with them. You're just all about whatever they want, and you will help them, see maybe a new perspective or see a couple other
Informed decision, that's really important,
informed decision.
especially
Love that.
when it comes to cancer. So I've been on the other side of it. So when I was in clinical trial, I would be the person who would go talk to the person and say, these are the things that will happen. This is how we'll help
Mm-hmm.
you, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, for me, even at the time, would be they would say, whatever you say. And I would say, no, you need to take this and review it and make sure that it's the right decision for you. Not everyone does that in that field.
Yeah,
Now I'm on the other side and I still have that. I'm fortunate to have that background. But when someone comes and says, well, they told me to do this,
yeah.
I would say, okay, so let's take a look at the pros and cons. These are the things you need to look at. These are the things. Translate that difficult science lingo into
Mm-hmm.
jargon,
Yeah.
into a language they can understand. And those are the risks. And these are the things. These are the pros and cons and all of that. And
Mm-hmm.
now you can decide. And literally, I tell you a quick story. Last week, one of my cancer patients, she has had surgery, and now they're pushing her through two different types of chemo and then radiation. And then she said, I'm not quite sure, like if I do this, if I do that. And she's talking out loud about all the things that she's thinking in her head. And I said, stop for a moment. Going into this treatment, how do you feel about this? Oh, she was saying, my
Mm,
son doesn't want me to do this, but my doctor wants me to do that, and all of that. I said,
mm,
no, it doesn't matter how anybody thinks or feels. You need to sit down quietly and think to yourself, how do you feel about this? Do you feel comfortable going into this? And she said, well, the chemo maybe, but I'm not sure about the radiation. I said, okay. So research shows that after this, radiation is not absolutely necessary. If you feel like going into the chemo treatment is something that you feel safe and good about, then do that. And when you get to the radiation, then we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
mm,
Right? So don't let anybody influence you. You need to decide going into, and I told her this is important. And most people don't realize this. And hard to hear it from a scientist. I say, if you go into any decision, you go in to get that treatment, but you are nervous about it and you don't
mhm,
feel good about it, and your mind is always stressed about it, your body is not going to respond to that treatment the way it should.
mm,
While if you went into that knowing, yep, this is the right decision for me, and you
mhm.
feel good about it, your body is going to get a message from you. Most people don't think that way when in
Right.
conventional medicine, but believe me, your beliefs and your thoughts will affect how your body communicates.
Mm.
So I told her
Wow.
that I said, you going into this, if you are stressed about it, isn't going to work the way it should because your body is resisting that, right? Now think about it. And that's just made her say, okay, all right, I think I'm going to do the first treatment and then maybe think about the next. So
Hmm.
it makes people go in
Wow.
there with confidence, not with doubt. Because
And
you
with
know
and with
the
power.
unknown and with
With
power
power,
that I made
yes.
this decision, and no matter what anybody says,
Hmm.
because they have that confidence and that power, like you said, to
Hmm.
make that decision. And that's
Wow.
just basically what it comes down to. And some people would say, I have had other cancer patients like, absolutely not. I will not do any conventional medicine chemotherapy. Sure, I'm here to support you.
Mm.
Whatever you decide, it's just because every person, they have to decide that for themselves.
Wow. That is huge. But you said they told me to. Da 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 da. That's probably what everybody hears. And
Yeah.
then you just hold on for the ride and to have somebody stop and say, "Well, how do you feel about this?" Like
Mm-hmm.
that is like huge.
And
That
most people
that would be
haven't
the
stopped to think about it,
I
right?
know, but that would be the human thing to do. Well, how do you feel about this? Not like, well, we're going to do this. This is the standard protocol, and this is just the steps we take. But to have somebody really stop and see you where you're at and
Mm-hmm.
ask you, well, how do you feel about what we just talked about? Man, that is huge.
And it's making a person really feel like a person than their disease or their symptom,
Yes, yes,
because they feel
exactly.
like at that point in the medical world, they are treated as their condition,
Yes,
right?
I'm sure.
But you're not your condition. You're not defined by your condition. You are your
Mm,
person. You have the choice. That's the thing that needs to be reiterated, and people need to really be given that room to kind of be themselves and not be defined by their condition, whatever it
wow.
is. Yeah.
Wow. I almost feel like everyone, this is how the medical model should be. This is how healthcare should be. You have a partner, you have someone such as yourself to walk you through, listen to your feelings. You talk about your beliefs. I love that you said you can't go into something if you're nervous and you have a different belief about the outcome or
Correct. Yeah.
whatever. And
Yeah.
again, I've never had anybody talk to me like
Yeah.
that in the medical
Uh,
field. Not that I've had
no.
a lot of experience in it, fortunately, but I mean, that is just, it's like mind blowing. Like that would just turn everything around and we would be
Yeah.
so much healthier and
Yeah.
happier and emotionally stable and less stressed.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Wow,
Yeah.
what a
Absolutely.
beautiful approach. Absolutely a beautiful approach. Wow. Now, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have created your own health company, your own supplementation. Is that, I understand that correctly?
Yeah, so I create basically a food prescription plan for people. So it's really working with food. And regardless of where you are in the world, I can give you your shopping list and resources where you are. So I had a
Mm-hmm.
client in uh, Ireland during COVID shutdown. And I worked with her sister who was in England, not in Ireland. And so we work together. So it works. That's one thing. And the other thing is, I use the power of natural herbs and some natural supplements when needed. I'm also a minimalist in that way, in a way that if we really concentrated on food and allowing our bodies natural healing mechanisms to work, it works really well because all of us have the natural ability to heal if if we give our bodies the tools that it needs and the environment that it can work with. Now, food is the most important
Believe
thing,
it.
obviously, but then there come natural urban supplements. But one thing that I do that most I don't know of other people that do this very carefully, because oftentimes people come to me and they have a list of supplements. I'm like, where'd you get that?
Mhm.
Well, they
Oh
say it's
yeah.
this and that. And I'm like, okay, so let's stop there. This is very true about my Parkinson's patients, for example. They're motivated because they want to do whatever they can to get better and not go to decline
Yeah.
further.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, so here are the medications you have to take or you're taking. And it could be Parkinson's related or other things.
Hmm.
And here are the supplements. So we do a reference check quickly because not all supplements can work with all medications. And if you have to take a medication, then you got to be careful about the supplements and herbs you take. Natural herbs can interact with your supplements and actually really make things worse. And most people don't realize this. So, and but it doesn't mean that you can't. You just have to take the alternatives at the time. And then we can work. I oftentimes work with people to get them off the medications as much as possible because all medications have side effects. And then once we are at the minimum, or sometimes people go completely off, is then we can incorporate those natural herbal supplements if needed to sort of supplement for things that they might be missing. On one client of mine, he went from eight medications down to one. His wife
Wow.
just texted me yesterday. He's down to one medication. That's the only one for Parkinson's and nothing else.
Wow.
But it took time,
Hmm. Hmm.
but it was initially okay. We have to first look at everything, check everything, make sure. And that is also empowering for people because they're not randomly taking things that everyone's saying. And somebody said this is good, somebody said that's good. And that quite often we all hear that.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
have a headache, take this. So
Yes.
it's just that is very, very important to think about. Or eye-opening sometimes, like my client with breast cancer, like she was taking flax seeds because everyone said flax seeds is good. We all know it's good. Well, you
Yep.
have breast cancer of certain type of receptors and markers. You should not take flax seeds because that
Oh,
promotes the growth of your cancer, depending on that, because of that specific
wow.
marker she had. So you see how specific that could be. So it's really down to the weeds to really make sure that everything that the person consumes is to benefit them, to improve their health, and provide an environment for their immune system to actually fight whatever disease they're
Mm.
fighting and remove all the things that feed the disease, right?
Mhm.
So that's kind of how we work at it. And the supplements and herbs are selected very carefully. So it's customized to the person. And I use different various resources that I trust very well. I've been actually with a company. I've actually vetted every single ingredient for that company pro bono for my own purposes because I want to have this for my clients.
Mhm.
And a couple of others that really they pass all the tests and I've vetted them. So that's basically what I do. And every person who comes to me, first we do a supplement medication comparison safety check reference, and then we throw out things that are not good or just quality control. Like sometimes they take supplements that are like not good.
Yeah.
They have things in them you shouldn't have. So yeah, it's that as well. It includes that. It's very, very comprehensive.
Wow. Well, we're marketed to so heavily, and there's so much information coming at us. Like you said, flaxseed for this, red rice yeast for that. Like it's very generalized, general
Yeah,
information, and we don't know if that applies to us or not. But we hear it so much, like, "Oh, I'll just try that. Oh, I'll just try that." And you just keep adding into this
yeah. It's
huge
good for you.
tub of supplements that, I trust me, I've been guilty of that.
Oh, everyone is. Sometimes I sit there and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money that
Yes,
you
it
put into
is.
supplements, and you really don't need all of that.
Yeah, wow. And I love that you create a food prescription. I would love to go into with someone with a practitioner and have them give me a food prescription based on my needs.
Yeah.
That has never happened, but I think I really need that.
I actually give people a table. So why should you eat this with respect to your condition? Because, for example, if you have this type of breast cancer, it will, you know, prevent your breast cancer from growth, or whatever, for Parkinson's or this or that marker. So they know exactly why.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, why?
Instead
Because
it,
it's important, as like, not that I told you so, but it's
hmm
really why you should do this and not that, because how it affects your health specifically for you, because every single person is unique. And so it's what's right for me is not right for you.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's just
yeah. I do have that understanding that every body is different, but nothing seems to be personalized as much as what you're giving your clients. You have a depth to you that what you're offering is just huge. Whereas everybody else, or most people, most practitioners in whatever field, it's just a very thin surface, you
Mhm.
know, set of options, whereas yours are very deep and it's so personalized. I absolutely love that. I
Thank
think
you.
we all need that. Like I said, just if everybody had somebody like you in their back pocket, we shall say, to partner with them, I said we would
Yeah.
be so much healthier and happier. And I absolutely love this. I feel like you're creating a new paradigm that we all need to tap into. So I so
Well,
applaud you.
years ago, Teresa, I was told that I was a voodoo doctor and I was out there. And I said, I be that. That's okay. I'm okay with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, really. We need more woo woo. So,
Now more people are like, huh, you said that. I'm like, yeah, I've been saying that for 10, 15 years. But at the time they said, oh, you're strange. You're the voodoo doctor,
I
literally.
love woo woo practitioners, but um, I know we have to wrap this up. I'm trying to think of how to do it, but I just love everything that you're offering. I love that you're not afraid to be different. You're offering people something different, and you're on the cutting edge as far as I'm concerned, and you're leading by example. So for coming from where you were, I mean, you have, like I said, a really robust background, and we know a little bit more about you now, to where you're at now, but yet you still had those doubts and those thoughts about, like, should I do this? And had some fear and you still did it anyway. I mean, that's inspiring in and of itself. But I just am so grateful for what you're doing for people out there in the world and
Thank
everybody
you.
who gets to connect with you. And now they get to hear about you in this format. So how can people get a hold of you so that they can bring you into their lives and have them, have you partner with them?
Thank you so much for that. Well, I'm actually totally open for email. If people
Okay.
want to send me an email and see what's the next best step.
Okay.
And there is on my website you can do a strategy session, which is 10 minutes, just to, okay, so let's see how things are going and where we can take this from here.
Mm-hmm.
And you could also, one thing I highly recommend everyone do is sign up for my email list, because I don't
Mm.
spam you. I send total lots of value. I send delicious recipes. Those are very popular.
Mm.
And, I offer workshops and, free
Mm.
events that you can benefit from, even if you didn't want to talk to me yet. I'm totally okay with that. So you can sort of learn a little bit about all of the things that I do and kind of get familiar with that. If you're not quite ready, that's completely understandable. I want you to be ready when you reach out to me. So take
Love that.
advantage of those things. And I'd like to offer, I always do, if you want to schedule an initial consultation with me, I offer 50% off of that initial consultation, and I will give you that link with the promo code that people can use. It doesn't expire in this case, so for Teresa's, listeners or viewers. So you can do that if that's what something you feel like you want to do. I'm happy to accommodate that as well.
Well, thank you so much. That is very, very generous of you.
Of
And so I
course.
would definitely advise everybody to take advantage of that. If you're even a little bit interested in what Dr. Laleh has talked about here, and if you know somebody who can benefit from this conversation and learning more about Dr. Laleh, please pass this episode on to them, share this episode. And we will include the links to your contact info and what they how they can get on your website and your email, because I think I'm going to sign up for that email. I'm always open to new recipes and stuff. But yeah, and I love to learn, so I would love to learn more about what you're offering out there. So I'm going to encourage everyone to do the same, at least get on her mailing list, go check her out. And I am so grateful and so honored that you took some time to speak with us today. So
Oh, the honor
thank
is
you so
mine. I
much,
am
Dr.
grateful
Lawler.
for you. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Of
I
course.
appreciate you. Everybody, go check her out. Look for us in the next episode. And thank you again, Dr. Lawley, and thank you everybody for listening. Goodbye. See you next time.
Thank you.